Today we're going to talk about typography and mood. So if you think about different fonts, can you think of like a crazy font that you use all the time that you think like represents yourself or represents something that's fun? Or if you think of like a punk rock font that's going to look like splattered and a little grungy. If you think of something girly, it's going to have like hearts and swirls and script. So today we're going to learn how to download some fonts, and then you're going to figure out how to choose fonts that help fit the mood of certain words. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to download a font on your computer. I have listed two pretty safe free font sites called Font Squirrel or DaFont. So you can click on it. It gives you different like themes of fonts, or you can just start looking for them. So what you need to know though before you start looking for the fonts is what kind of font you want to look for. So we need to go to what we did before about the color, because we're going to do red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. So you're picking one word for each of those, like a symbolic word for each of those colors. Let's pick yellow. So if you go to that first door that I clicked on, it's going to have, let's see if I can turn this sound off. Nope. It's going to have all these words. So cautious, coward, dangerous, dishonest, envious, hazardous, cheery. Let's pick cheery. So I'm going to look for something that's cheery, a font that would be cheery.
Attention all staff members, please do not send students for picture makeup until third period. Again, no picture makeup until starting third period. Thank you.
What's nice about DaFont is you can write the word that you're looking for in this preview, and you can see what it would look like if you wanted it to look cheery. So like that one doesn't look cheery to me so much, neither does that one. That one looks like angry cheery, but maybe that one looks like cheery. So to download it, you click the download button, and it's going to ask you where you want it to download. Your screen might look a little bit different, but just go ahead and make sure you select Save File. My screen came up a tiny bit different than yours, so let's hit Save. Let's see, you have Firefox. Let me see what it does in Firefox to make sure that you guys see what we're doing. So I went under Handwritten, and I wrote in cheery. So we'll pick one of these, click Download. This is what your screen will look like. Make sure that you click Save File. You're going to save the file. This arrow up here is going to light up. You're going to click on that arrow. You can just click right here. It's going to unzip the file, and it's going to bring the Finder window in front of you. If you don't see this window, if you think you clicked on something, you just have to click this little guy here and it'll show up. Most of the time, the fonts are going to be in a folder. Sometimes it's just going to be the font. You have to open up the folder, and you have to look for the TTF or the OTF file. Once you find that, you just double click on it, and this nice little window with Install Font comes up. And you just install the font. One thing that is important to remember, because you're like going through with these specific words, and I would almost write it down. Mr. Cornejo, put your phone away, please. You were going to write down, I'd write down the word and I'd write down the font. Because sometimes when you download a font and you go to find it in Illustrator, it doesn't go in the alphabetical order like you thought it would. So this was called bronze script. So we want to use that word for cheery. So you're going to find 6 different words. You can download one font at a time. You can try to look for all the fonts at a time. How you work is going to be up to you. So bronze script is going to be the font that I'm looking for the word for cheery, which represented which color? Remember? Yellow. The next thing that we're going to do is you're going to open up Illustrator. Some of you might have it in your dock. This is called your dock. My Illustrator is a little bit different than yours. Yours is going to be like a yellow-orange icon. and all the background of your Illustrator is going to be white. Mine's black. It's just a little bit different. So all of this is darker. It looks the same. You are just going to have a different color. Once you are here, the way you open up a new document is File, New. And here there's a lot of different presets that we can deal with. We're going to learn what all this means later, bleed, that stuff. We want to make sure that the orientation is portrait. We're going to go ahead and put in a title. Everything that you're going to title for this class, you're going to have your last name. So mine's Volkov. You're going to underscore, and this is going to be called type mood. And I have that in the directions, but you're just going to type that in there. Again, put your own last name. Don't write Volkov. We only need one artboard, so we're only making, essentially we're making one piece of paper. So your artboard is going to be relative to how many things you would want to, let's say, print. We want to print this. This is what would be the outcome for that. We want to make sure our units are in inches, and you want to make sure that you have letter size. Does that kind of make sense? If this changed out of custom from print, that's fine. Just make sure we have inches, 8.5 by 11, letter, and you write the Volkov type mood or your last name type mood. Then you click OK. So let's just talk about Illustrator a little bit. What you want to do is you want to arrange your workspace so you can find everything. And I don't know what the last person on Illustrator did, and it's going to come up with the last thing on that. So I always go to Window, and I'm going to make sure Application Frame is clicked on. And here's why. If it's not clicked on, this kind of shows in the background, and you accidentally click on and off of Windows really easily. If I click on the application frame, you notice that this all got dark, and it's all kind of one big window instead of this being a separate window, this being a separate window. I'd also put on Workspace and click on Essentials. Even if the arrow is already clicked, just redo it again and it'll clean up your artboard. We will eventually learn what all of these tools are, but for today, we're going to deal with the Type tool, because we're going to click on the Type tool, we're going to click on our paper, and we're going to type. So I'm typing cheery. One major thing that you need to remember in this class, remember yesterday the video talked about not stretching fonts. So you might think, I can't see this, I want to make it bigger. Well, that's not how the font was intended. You have to make sure you hold down Shift. Anytime you're changing a font to make it bigger, you have to hold down Shift. If you are afraid you're not going to hold down Shift, then you can select up here. It's called the character bar. When you have the type selected, you can change the font there. This is also where I'm going to look for that bronze script. And now that font per se is a little bit smaller than what the other one was. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to try to get 6 words down the middle of the page, so I'm going to have to play around with the size of the font a little bit later. The biggest thing here, too, so this word I feel like is kerned pretty well. If you need to kern a word, you get your big cursor in between the letters that you need to change. You hold down Option, and you do your arrows. I'm arrowing away, or I'm arrowing closer to the word. Sometimes script words will come out like that, and you want to make sure that it looks like it's actually connected, like somebody wrote it. Again, I'll be able to walk around and help you do these things. So this is another important tool. This is the Selection tool. You'll be using the Selection tool and the Type tool. The Selection tool lets you move it around. The Type tool lets you type. After you type, it's good to go back to that tool to select it. We're going to leave the words in black today. We're not going to change the color. Once we have, I think another word, I'm sure some word is deceitful.
Attention all staff members, this is a correction to the previous announcement. The cameras are now working. Please go ahead and start sending students for makeup pictures using the path that was emailed to you earlier this week. Thank you.
I'm not sure which color is angry, probably red. So there's an angry. Once you have more words, calm. What's nice about this too is you can kind of see samples of what the words would look like. Calm, cheery. The other thing that I want you to learn how to do today is to align words. So let's just say that you typed them and they were here, but I want them all to be down the center of the page. You can click and drag over everything that you want to select, and you can look for a little button that says Align. If you can't find it, you can go to Window, Align, and it'll pop out of this little toolbar over here so you can find it. So what we want to do is we want to align everything in the center. We also want to distribute evenly. So what this is going to do is move these up so that there's even space here and even space there. But that's right now it's distributing to the artboard. So what you want to make sure is we don't want anything touching the top of this page or the bottom of the page. So when you go up here, you can make sure there's going to be a little thing like this that you do align to the selection. If you don't like anything that you did, you can undo. I want to make sure that I have align to selection highlighted, and then you'll see the difference when I distribute. It just distributes, it takes the top one where the top one was and the bottom one where the bottom one was. So to kind of recap the tools that you need, the selection tool, the type tool, under the character window is where you're going to change the fonts. If you can't find that, you can turn character on, or this might be called type. Let's see. You can turn type character on and it will come out for you. And the align tool. Again, you're going to get red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Again, we're not using color. We're just using a symbolic word of the color and a font that fits the mood of the color.